Croeso Pub to the Remasters and Retro PSN sale. Great news, I've gone through the sale again, and I found you some really cool games to play, and ones that you can save a huge amount of money on as well, because they're on great discounts. So subscribe if you like finding cool games to play, and saving a ton of money on games. You're welcome here anytime. Okay, this sale ends on the 22nd of March, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Let's look at the games. First up is a game that isn't from this sale. I took a look at the Capcom sale, and it was mostly garbage, but this was the only game worth buying, and it was Resident Evil 3 Raccoon City Edition. It was released in 2020, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £12.49, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a not bad deal, as this edition includes Resident Evil 2, 3, and Resistance, the online multiplayer game as well. So you're getting two of the best remakes from a legendary series, and a multiplayer mode as well, which isn't the best multiplayer game around, but hey, it's free, so who's complaining, right? These are both survival horror games, and in the second one you play as Leon and Claire, separated in Raccoon City during a zombie outbreak, while in the third game you play as Jill Valentine as she attempts to escape Raccoon City, and Resistance provides 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer, which isn't amazing, but hey, it's included, so you can't complain too much, right? The bottom line here is you're here for the main games, and they're from a legendary series, which you should already have heard of by now, and they're two of the best survival horror games ever made, especially in the zombie genre. They're not perfect though. They removed some of the content from the originals, so if you're a massive fan of the originals, it might annoy you a little bit, but they're still great games, and if you've never played them before, you'll love them. So if you've never played this series, you should definitely take a look at it. And if you have, you'll probably still really love it, but just be aware there are some changes made, although more in 3 than 2, so keep that in mind going in. Either way, they're amazing, take a look at them. And hey, if you've never played a survival horror game before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting with this one. I don't like recommending bundles for your first game, as you get a lot of content, so if you don't like them, you're stuck with a lot of game that you're never going to play. But hey, the Resident Evil series is always on sale, so you're much better off starting with Resident Evil 0 or the first game remastered. Either one will be a better place to start, or even another franchise. There's plenty around in this genre, so subscribe and you won't miss them when they go on sale next. Next up we have Furwind. It was released in 2019, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the low price of £1.99, which is pretty good. In this 2D platformer, the evil ancestor Dahin has been released from captivity and is ready to bring dark madness to the forest. So it's up to you as Furwind the Fox to platform your way to stopping him and saving the forest. This looks like a really cool 2D platformer. It's basically a 16-bit era sort of game, so if you liked platformers back in those days, you'll find a lot to like in this game. And if you've never played those old games before, then this might just be a great place for you to start. But if not, there's plenty of others on sale, including older games as well, so take a look around. We have an anime game next, How to Take Off Your Mask Remastered. It was released in 2021, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 70% discount for the low price of £3.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal, especially for an anime game. They're usually pretty pricey. In this visual novel, you get to play as Lilia, an ordinary schoolgirl that spends her time with her childhood friend Ronan, until one day she suddenly turns into a cat girl, and soon bumps into Ronan, who's working as a city guard. When she soon sees a different side to him, it changes her life forever, on top of the cat changer thing obviously. Visual novels are a pretty niche genre, but they're not very cheap very often, and this is a very good deal. And on top of that, it's very well reviewed as well. It seems everyone that plays it really enjoys it. So if you're a fan of visual novels, or anime in general, you might just want to take a look at this. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff for you to enjoy in it. And hey, if you've never played a visual novel before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend this one. I'm on the fence. It's a really good deal, but it's not one I've known a lot about, and it's definitely not hailed as a legendary game of the genre. But hey, it's not a bad game, so if you're interested, you might want to take a look. You can get better ones that are more well known or more well thought of, but they're usually much more expensive as well. So it's up to you really. There's plenty of choices. Why not take a look if you're interested? I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Locke's Quest is our next game. It was released in 2017, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the low price of £3.19, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it for non-PS Plus members, which makes it a good deal for everyone. In this tower defense RPG, you get to experience a story mode set across 75 days of warfare as you place units, turrets, traps and other defenses to fight back the waves of enemies while fighting alongside them yourself. And it also features an endless mode as well, which is great for replayability. If you're a fan of tower defense games like me, this will be very intriguing for you, because it's a tower defense that's a bit different, with RPG elements and a character you get to control directly yourself. It's a bit different, and a nice spin on the genre, so if you like the sound of that, why not check it out? It looks really great. And if you've never played a tower defense game before, then this looks like a really different and unique one, so if you try it, it's not the norm, but hey, if you have a great time, it might open your eyes to more tower defense games in the future, so why not take a look? You might really enjoy it. Our next game is Oddworld New and Tasty Complete Edition. It was released in 2018, so it's 5 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £4.24, which is pretty good, as this edition includes the Alpha's Escape expansion, alternate costume, and a PS4 theme as well, so you get a fair bit of extra content for the game, which is really good. This puzzle platformer is a complete remake of the legendary PS1 Abe's Odyssey game, where you uncover a hidden secret at your job, leaving you no choice but to escape your employer, to save your own life, and your people as well. The original game was really legendary back in the day, and you can even buy it on PS4 now if you're really interested in it. But if you're interested in the gameplay and the story, this version has way better graphics, and is much improved for modern control schemes and such. So if you're looking for the best version of the game, this might just be it. If you're not nostalgic for the original, why not check it out? It's a great puzzle platformer from a legendary series back in the day. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle platformer before, then this is a pretty good place to start. It may not be one of my best games to recommend, but it's from a legendary series, you get a lot for your money, and it's definitely not a bad game by a long stretch. So if you're interested, why not take a look? You might be pleasantly surprised. Here's another game from the past, Psychonauts. It was released in 2016, so it's 7 years old, although it's much older than that really, as it was a PS2 game originally, and it's on a 70% discount for the price of £2.69, which is dirt cheap, and the cheapest I've ever seen it. In this action platformer, you play as a young psychic named Rasputin, who breaks into the secret training facility of the Psychonauts to try and become a psychic secret agent, but he soon finds the residents have had their brains stolen by a mysterious villain, and only he can help them by delving into their mind and uncovering their secrets, while helping them at the same time. This game was legendary back in the day, it's pretty much a cult classic right now, and is so beloved they even made a recent sequel, and a VR game as well, which is pretty cool. So if you're a fan of old school games, or you always heard about this legendary game and you never played it, or you're just a fan of action platformers in general, with cool unique stories and themes, you might really enjoy this. You should definitely take a look. I'm sure you'll have a great time with it. And hey, if you've never played an action platformer before, then this might be a really good place to start. It's a really good game at a really good price, but is a bit old school, and the graphics aren't as good as modern games. So if that puts you off, subscribe, and I'll help you find another game in another sale. But if it doesn't, this might just be the best game you've played in a long time, so why not take a look if you're interested. We have a third-person RPG next, Risen 3 Titan Lords Enhanced Edition. It was released in 2015, so it's 8 years old, and is on an 85% discount for the low price of £2.39, which is dirt cheap and a really great deal, especially as this edition includes enhanced graphics, and all 3 DLC expansions as well, so you're getting the best version of the game, with all of the content included, which is really great. This game is set in a world abandoned by the gods, and full of enemies and dangers, as you awaken robbed of your soul, and now you'll need powerful allies to rise up against the Titans. It also features a branching story based on your decisions, so there's a lot of replayability in this as well, and to be honest, for an older game, the graphics actually look pretty decent, and it looks like a lot of fun too. I'd never heard of this game before, but it looks really good and decent, I gotta be fair, and at this price, it's a steal. It looks like a really good quality RPG at a really good price. If you like third-person RPGs, you should definitely take a look at this one, and if you've never played one before, then why not take a look at it for this price, because you're getting a lot of quality for your money. Next up is my star buy, Shenmue 1 and 2. It was released in 2018, so they're 5 years old, but they're much older than that really, and they're on an 85% discount for the low price of £3.74, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a dirt cheap price, especially for 2 full AAA games. You can't ask for much more really, as this edition even includes an updated user interface, optional modern controls, plus the English and Japanese audio as well. So you get a bit of choice in what experience you want in the games, which is great. You're definitely getting the best version of both games. In these third-person RPGs, which is set in the 1980s, you play as Ryo Hazuki, who returns to his father's dojo just in time to witness Lan Di steal a mysterious artifact and murder his father. So Ryo vows to avenge his father and takes off after Lan Di. These games were a big deal back in the day because a lot of the game mechanics in them paved the way for modern RPGs these days. so they were really different, really unique, and people loved them for it. They're not so great these days as they're a bit janky, but hey, they're a classic and they're legendary for a reason. If you like old school open world RPGs, you'll really enjoy these, especially if you played them originally, you'll really like them. But hey, if you haven't played any of these games before, or you haven't played a game like them either, I wouldn't recommend them, because like I said, they are legendary and famous for what they achieved, but these days they are a bit janky and the gameplay is a bit dated, so you probably won't enjoy them as much as modern games. So stay clear of them, unless you're really interested in playing a bit of gaming history. Our next game is The Silver Case. It was released in 2017, so it's 6 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £6.24, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, as this version is HD remastered, so you're getting a better version of the game as well. This visual novel was the debut game of the legendary game developer Suda51. If you don't know who he is, look him up, he's pretty legendary in gaming history, and was really well known for Killer 7 and the No More Heroes games. In any case, in this game you get to immerse yourself in an intricate story while trying to uncover the truth by piecing the clues together, piece by piece, and unraveling the mystery from multiple angles and multiple playthroughs. This game basically hinges on his story, as pretty much all visual novels do, so some people don't like it, but the vast majority love it, hailing it as a really good game of the series, and because it's made by Suda51, it's got some fanboys as well, so the game's pretty well thought of in general. So if you like story-based games, or visual novels, or you're just a big fan of Suda51 and you want to see where he started, then you might want to check this game out. It's a pretty big deal, and I think you'll probably enjoy it. If you're interested, definitely take a look. And hey, if you've never played a visual novel before, this one has legendary credentials, but I'm not sure I'd recommend it, because it's not that cheap, and there are some people that don't like it. Again, if you like the sound of it, why not take a look? If it's a game you'll really enjoy, it'll be worth the extra bit of money. Suda51 must be legendary for a reason, right? And this game is well thought of in general, so if you like the look of it, why not take a look at it? But if not, subscribe, and I'll help you find another game in another sale. And the final game I have for you is Valkyrie Chronicles Remastered and Valkyrie Chronicles 4 Bundle. It was released in 2019, so it's 4 years old, but they're older games than that really, and they're on a 70% discount for the price of £13.49, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, considering this bundle includes both games, remastered, so you can't ask for much more really. These are both turn-based strategy games, and in Valkyrie Chronicles, the continent of Europa has plunged into a second European war, and you get to follow Lieutenant Welkin Gunther of Squad 7 as they fight for the Gallian militia against all hope to defeat the forces of the evil empire. While in Valkyrie Chronicles 4, it takes place during the same events of the first game, but follows Squad E of the Federation as they fight for freedom, but blizzards, waves of Imperial soldiers, and godlike Valkyrie may be too much for them. I don't know too much about this series, but it's been around a while, and a lot of people really like the games. Pretty much all of them are reviewed pretty well, so they must be a pretty good series to have been around this long, and for people to like them as much as they do. So if you're a fan of the series, or if you like turn-based strategy games, definitely take a look at them. It might be a bundle you have a lot of fun with. And hey, if you haven't played a turn-based strategy game before, I wouldn't recommend starting here, as they're not that cheap, and you get a lot of game for your money, which you might not enjoy if you don't like the genre. You can get other AAA turn-based strategy games, much cheaper than this, with much better series franchises attached to them, and even legendary game series as well, so you're much better off starting there, if you're willing to wait. So why not subscribe, and then you won't miss them when they go on sale next. And that's all the games I have for the Remasters and Retro PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good ones or did I pick bad ones? And what about the star buy? Did it deserve it, or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your complaints down in the comments and we can talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you guys found some games you're interested in. But more importantly, I hope you saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Oil Power.